Tonight you find yourself lying in a wide summer meadow, your back resting against the soft, cool grass, the warmth of the day still held gently in the earth beneath you. The sky above is open and enormous, a deep, velvety darkness that stretches from one edge of the world to the other, and you let your eyes settle into it the way you might settle into a warm bath, slowly, without effort, without any particular direction. The grass around you is long enough to sway in the faintest breath of air, and you can hear it, a soft, dry whisper that comes and goes like the turning of a page in a quiet room. The meadow is wide and unhurried, and everything in it is at rest. The air carries the scent of warm earth and dry grass and something faintly sweet, the last traces of clover and wildflower that the day's sun drew out and left hanging close to the ground. You breathe it in slowly, and it fills your chest with something that feels like ease, like the particular looseness that comes when you have nowhere to be and nothing to carry. The warmth from the soil rises up through the grass and meets the cooler air that has begun to settle down from the sky, and the place where those two temperatures meet is exactly where you are lying, held between them, neither too warm nor too cool, just comfortable in a way that is hard to name but easy to feel. Above you, the stars are beginning to assert themselves, each one a small, still point of light that has been there all along, waiting for the sky to darken enough to be seen. You notice them one at a time at first, the brightest ones, the ones that appear almost as soon as the blue fades from the sky, and then gradually more and more of them come forward, as though the darkness itself is slowly exhaling, releasing them one by one into the open air above you. There is no counting them, no need to count them, they are simply there, filling the sky the way sand fills a jar, settling into every available space until the darkness between them seems almost as full as the light. The Milky Way stretches across the center of the sky in a long, soft arc, a river of pale light that is not quite white and not quite silver but something in between, something that has no precise name in ordinary language. It is wide in some places and narrow in others, and in the widest part it seems almost to glow from within, a gentle, diffuse brightness that does not illuminate anything below it but simply exists up there, vast and patient and very old. You let your gaze drift along it without following any particular path, the way you might watch water moving in a slow stream, not tracking any single current but simply resting in the general movement of it. The grass shifts again beside you, a long, slow lean in the direction of a small breeze that passes through the meadow and then is gone, and the sound of it is like a long, soft exhale, like the meadow itself breathing out. A cricket begins its steady rhythm somewhere nearby, a small, repeating sound that is so consistent it becomes part of the silence rather than a break in it, the way a clock ticking in a familiar room eventually becomes indistinguishable from quiet. Another cricket answers from somewhere farther away, and then another beyond that, until the whole meadow is gently threaded through